Alrighty, guys, welcome to episode 4 of the Bowling with Double B show. I'm your co-host, Bobby Hibetler.
I'm the other co-host, Blaine Hunt. And today we are very, very honored to have our very special guest, Ms. Taylor Bailey. Taylor, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh, we're doing phenomenal. Bobby, how about you?
Oh, just great. Just a great day.
Wonderful, wonderful. So we'll just jump right into this. Taylor, we filled out, I sent you our bio sheet earlier, and obviously name hometown from Joliet, Illinois. So that's relatively local for Bobby and myself. Pretty obvious answer on the home bowling center of Town and Country, with being that your dad is still the general manager, correct? If I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then we jump into the accomplishments, which a lot more than I think me and Bobby were expecting to find. But hey, that's never a bad thing. We look back at all that, and well, yeah. We start off with the 2020 NTCA First Team All-American at McKendree University, the 2019-2020 NCBCA Honorable Mention All-American from McKendree University, the 2019 NTCA Second Team All-American from McKendree University, and it just goes on from all the way to the member of the 18-19 Intercollegiate Team Championships runner-up team, the 2018 NTCA Third Team All-American, the member of the 2018 NCAA Bowling Championship runner-up, member of the 2017 NCAA Bowling Championship and Intercollegiate Team Championship winners. And then we jump into the Junior Team USAs of 2018. You won the 1 gold medal with the team, the 1 silver in the doubles, the 2018 World Bowling Youth Championships, and then we fast forward a little bit to the 2021 PWBA Dallas Fort Worth Regional in Arlington, Texas. So we will start off from the beginning, kind of just give us an idea of kind of how you got your start in bowling, basically.
Like where it all started, like how I started.
Yeah, just as far back as you can remember, basically.
Well, all I remember is that my dad has worked at the bowling alley my entire life. So I basically grew up there. I would just bowl and practice as much as I could. I'm not really sure like if I wanted to or my parents wanted me to, but I did. And fun fact, since both my parents worked and I was an only child, my parents did not want me staying home alone after school, so the school bus would actually drop me off at the bowling alley instead of my house after school. So I had no choice but to just bowl after school.
Gotcha. So you're kind of like me in a way. Like if you're in a bowling center, it's hard not to want to be throwing a bowling ball, basically. I think Bobby could probably attest to be the same way.
Oh, pretty much the same thing.
So jump back into like, what's that?
It's pretty much my daycare.
Yeah, right. Basically,
mm-hmm.
Kind of like take us on a memory lane trip almost of, junior leagues, tournaments that you did growing up, like middle school, high school, obviously going into the college ranks, and as of right now, professional side. Kind of just give us a rundown of early highlights, tournament highlights, stuff like that, and just anything that you can think of, basically.
Well, okay, so one thing that I'm really not sure if other places do, and I don't know if you guys do it, like if it's an Illinois thing, I don't know if it's a Joliet thing, but I don't know if you guys see on Facebook, but Joliet area does awards, and there's like a prince and a princess, whatever, for the division, and I was always the princess for every division I was ever in every year, because that's just like the best bowler award for, they take in to account like the singles tournament, doubles tournament, team tournament, all events, like all that stuff, and they just add your totals together, and whoever has the highest wins. So I won that a lot growing up, which I think it's different like growing up, and I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but you kind of take it for granted, and you're kind of like, yeah, okay, cool, but I just do this for fun. And even like close family friends, they just joke, oh, I can't wait to watch you on TV someday. I can't wait till you're a professional. And I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. And then I didn't really start getting competitive until middle school-ish. Like, yeah, I bowled just local stuff, but I never thought of doing junior gold until I was pretty much almost in high school. And by then, I mean, not that I was late to the game, but I kind of felt like I was late to the game because everyone, I feel like, already knew about it and I didn't. I'm like, what's junior gold? So then that's kind of where I started like realizing, okay, this is cool. But still, even at that time, I was like, I don't even know if I want to be a professional bowler. Is that what I want to do? So basically I just kept doing it. It was fun. I did it in high school. We won in high school. We won state. And yeah, I just think I'm young and naive and cool on bowling. So then I go to college and I find a lot of success. I really, I thank Shannon and Brian a lot for my successes. Like, sure, I was good before I went to McKendree, but I think they kind of just pushed me over the edge and got me to where I am today. So I like to say, like, I wasn't anything before college, really. I don't know, like looking back, it's just different. So it was really cool being at McKendree, winning national championships, being around Shannon. She's a professional bowler. But yet, like I said, I just feel like I took a lot for granted. Being by Shannon, everyone, it's like, oh my God, that's Shannon O'Keefe. And I'm like, yeah, it's just Shannon. She's Shannon. And then I ended up living with her. And even at that point, I was still not sure that I wanted to bowl professionally. I was still debating it, like, because it's never been, like, being on Team USA, bowling professionally, it was never, I can't say it was ever really a dream of mine growing up, because I didn't know about it. I didn't look into it until I was older. So here we are today. Now I'm bowling professionally. I thought, you know what, why not? This is the best opportunity. I'm young. I'm still in school. I have time to bowl on tour. I'm coaching, so that leaves room for the summer for bowling. And I'm very grateful that there is somebody who offers to pay for me, and I don't have to pay for myself to bowl on tour. And so I was like, why not? There's no time like the present. So just do it and we'll see where it goes. And I think I did okay. I mean, like I said, it wasn't exactly my dream growing up. So I didn't really have any visions of what I wanted it to look like. I was going in with an open mind, and whatever happened, happened. And if I did bad, then okay. If I did great, then great. But I think I just did it for fun and because I could. And I'm very happy with how it went.
Go ahead, Bobby.
Yeah, you won the PWBA regional in Arlington. I don't quite remember how many cuts you made, but I know, like, at least for your rookie season, it was a decent amount. And what just went back for the junior team, that was a pretty good junior team that back in 2018. Mabel, Brianna Clemmer, was Paige Peters on that team too?
Mm-mm.
Can't think of who else, but it was just a great team. It was awesome that you made that and won gold medal, silver medal. What else you got?
The only thing, obviously we keep mentioning, or she keeps bringing up the whole, it was never, anything that was a dream, quote unquote, basically. And I don't necessarily find that as a surprise, I guess. It just, I can just vividly remember bowling a couple tournaments here and there, and you would make an appearance, and me and my dad would just kind of sit back and joke wherever it happened to be at. And if it was you and Mabel and maybe like a couple other people, which I can't remember names now. It's been too long. But if we saw that you and Mabel had showed up at the same tournament, we kind of looked at each other like, yeah, if it doesn't come down to one of those two, it's going to be a little bit of a shocker. And 9 times out of 10, it came down to either you or her, or one of you were in the finals at some, or doing or bowling that well throughout the day that you ended up in the finals. And yeah, it was just something every time we showed up somewhere and you happened to be around, or she would be around, or you both be around. It's we kind of just knew the girls' side was in pretty good shape of who was going to be 1-2, and that's not to down talk anybody else. We kind
I
of
think Taylor
just knew.
Crawford is like around there too, right? She's around your age.
Who?
Oh, Kayla Crawford.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so she's around your age. She obviously is
Oh
from.
yeah, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on who that is for a minute there. I'm sorry. Yeah, we just always thought it was kind of cool. I mean, he kind of watched you. I wouldn't say grow up, but he knew your name. My dad, that is, he knew your name well enough through basically bowling enough of like Patty's tournaments, and obviously once you hit the college scene, we kind of knew your name well enough that it was safe for us to kind of just sit back and say like Taylor Bailey, kind of a badass. So that's what we would always refer to you as. I really don't know where that came from, but whenever it is, whoever it is, me or my dad, whoever said it first, it kind of just stuck. So every time I hear your name mentioned or something, that's just like the first thing that pops into my mind. I'm just like, yeah, she's a badass. So I don't know, just something that we'd always joke around about. Kind of. So this is something me and Bobby we've asked all of our guests prior to this, and I'll just keep bringing it up for the future. What are some of like your favorite balls of all time, or money balls or gems or whatever that you just kind of like know it goes everywhere, it travels, or just anything that you can think of?
Well, a lot of the balls that are my favorites are unfortunately retired. So, like when I was younger, I used to get hand-me-downs, and my favorite ball was the Storm Anarchy. When I was younger, I don't know if either of you know what that ball is.
I've heard of it, never thrown it.
I'm too young.
And so there was that one, and then I had the IQ Tour Fusion. That one was.
I had one of those.
That was one of my favorites. And then
I hopped on the IQ line a little late, as in like last year. Finally got a tour solid late.
Yeah, I never had a solid. I only had the Fusion and the Nano.
I was never a fan.
If it's not an idol, Bobby doesn't like it. Put it that way.
Yeah.
He's got a closet full of them for a reason.
Discontinued.
Now I don't throw Storm anymore. So in college, we threw Brunswick, and I had this ball. It was the DV8 Hitman. Loved it.
Like the blue and orange one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can remember you throwing that on one of the TV shows in the finals one year. I can't remember what year it was, but one of the years I can vividly remember you throwing that ball.
Yeah, that was my my sophomore year. So that was my favorite ball, and then of course I didn't make it anymore, so that's cool, but whatever. And then it was the GB3. Oh, I love the GB3, and they don't make it anymore. So.
Yeah, well, I think that's mainly because the buyout.
Yeah, I have one. They had one on the tour truck that they drilled for me, and I am cherishing it with all that I have. I'm like barely gonna bowl with it unless it's absolutely necessary, because that I think is like, that's my go-to ball. I think it kind of saves me when I don't really know what's going on the lanes, because it's so predictable and I know what it can do. From the current line, I do think the Obsession Tour or the Damn Good Verge. Those two are pretty good. Those are
I just got the Obsession Tour and I'm excited.
Yeah.
Very, very excited. Yeah. So speaking of that, you were in the recent Hammer videos for for all the obsessions, the tour, the gold one, and then the solid. So tell us about that. How was that? How was the shooting, all that?
Well, fun fact, I originally was not even supposed to be in them. It was just supposed to be Shannon. But because she loves me and because I was living with her, we shot in Michigan at Click Lanes in Grand Rapids. I think that was where it was. And it was like, first of all, the bowling center, we pulled up to it and it was in this little downtown area, and it was a corner building on like strip mall. And we were like, is this the right place? Are we in the right place? So we walk in and we're like, okay, this is definitely older. Oh, sorry. I don't know if you can hear that.
That's okay.
That's okay.
But so it was obviously older, and we were like, where are we? And so on the bottom, there were 8 lanes, and they were just, your normal 8 lanes. But then you go upstairs, and there's 8 lanes with the old vintage above ground ball returns and stuff. So that was cool, except for the fact that we had to go up 27 stairs, but
Ooh.
whatever. So that was cool. But anyway, she asked, because she was driving, because it was in Michigan. So she asked if they needed anybody else because she didn't want to drive alone, and I was going to go with her. So they were like, yeah, sure. Why not? So then I did them, and it was really fun. First, I was really nervous, like, okay, bowling and throwing the ball and striking is one thing, but then they had me talk, and I was like,
yeah,
okay, great. So I don't know, Nick Smith is the guy that does all the media for Brunswick, and so I don't know if he will release the bloopers, but there was this one, I bursted out laughing because the infamous video was released, right? Or maybe not, I don't know. But in it, at the end,
I think so.
They came out, and I do not like listening to myself talk or watching myself, so I was like, I'm not looking. So at the end of it, you say like, make sure to pre-order your infamous today, put it in your bag, whatever. So at the end, I was like, and pre-order your infamous and put it in your infamous, and it's supposed to say like bag, and I was like, great.
Oh man.
So I'm hoping that he sends that to me because it'll be really funny. But it was really fun, and I'm grateful that they let me do it.
I'm sure it won't be the last one.
Huh?
I'm sure it won't be the last one.
Oh no, there's actually, we did 4 videos there. So the infamous and the Obsession Tour Pearl were already released. So there's 2 more balls that are going to be released that we did.
So in other words, you have secrets, is what you're saying.
I do.
Oh man. We like secrets, but we know those are secrets we cannot speak of. So we unfortunately, I say that like very sad faced, unfortunately cannot talk about that. But that's okay.
Wait. I actually have another point. So the first time that they sent you those balls were just for the video?
Yeah. And they didn't even, well, yeah, they did send them to us because we had to drill them, but it was really weird because we got there and they were like, oh, did you throw them? And we were like, where were we going to throw them that nobody was going to see us throwing them? Okay.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Yeah.
But I really like them. And I think I really like the infamous and the Obsession Tour Pearl, and the next 2 are also really, really good. And I think a lot of people will like them. A little hint is that they are some throwbacks. So
we do like that. You like some throwbacks. It's just not. It's not the throwbacks that Bobby wants, because he just wants more idols.
Web Tour, Purple Hammer.
Purple
Okay,
Hammer.
well, the purple's taken care of.
I did get the new one. Yes, I did get the new one.
I have one because they sent it to me for being on staff, but not gonna lie, I don't throw urethane all that much, so I haven't drilled it.
And so that actually is a good point, and I don't really know where this thought came from, but it kind of just popped in my head all of a sudden. I don't follow the women's tour around as much, and that's I mean, that's just on me. But it's so even like the girls' side, so Patty's tournaments at ISSTs or JBSTs with Chris, it doesn't seem like the women throw urethane as often. So I guess my question to you is, like out on tour, granted you've only been out there for a year, but out on tour, is that kind of like the same concept basically, is they just simply just don't throw urethane as much?
Yeah, I think aside from Shannon Plahowski, she's got like 6 purple hammers that she comes rolling up to tournaments with.
That's just Shannon though.
Yeah,
And she's lefty.
that's true.
Yeah, exactly.
There's not really a whole ton of women that do. I mean, I will say like Daria does it because she has a higher rev rate. And maybe some girls that throw it a little bit slower, but even then, like a lot of the tournaments that we bowled this year, if there was friction, it wasn't like super uncontrollable. And the good thing about it is we're all pretty much professional bowlers, so you never really have to worry about anybody playing the wrong part of the lane for the most part. So throwing urethane just to control the pattern and whatnot, like, isn't absolutely necessary. But
Right.
personally, my rev rate is not high enough to throw it unless, literally could not get anything to stay on the right side of the head pin.
So you threw it, I want to say it was down at St. Charles for that Brad and Kyle tournament when they had like the dual patterns in the final. I want to say you were throwing a purple, correct?
Yeah, I was. So actually that is the OG purple, not like
because that was before the new ones even came out, I think.
Yeah. So it wasn't the illegal one, at least I don't think it was. I was panicking about that. But so they drilled it for me in college, and I only threw it at one tournament at USA Bowl because have you guys bowled there before?
I have not.
Watched that. I haven't bowled there myself. I've been there.
They hook a ton. So we had a college tournament there, and they were putting out a shorter pattern. So Brian was like, why not? So
roll up on the purples.
Yeah, so I had one and Brianna had one. And somebody else, Hope, maybe had one too. And we didn't really need them, but we were throwing them because actually, fun fact, the coach that I'm working for right now, Justin, at Arkansas State, he was getting really mad because we were throwing the urethane and we were messing up their line. So we just kept throwing them to.
Hey, sometimes it's not about how good your look is, it's how bad you can make the opponents look. I mean, unfortunately, that's part of the game, and sometimes it's just what you got to do. I mean, Bobby can attest to it. We bowled in AYBT, and
I don't play defense.
Well, no, so it wasn't even so much like a defensive thing. We got put on a girls' pair in the final, like for the step ladder, which, to be fair, it was fair because none of us had seen that pair all day. But for whatever reason, I just made the left lane look really good, and Bobby just couldn't. I don't know what it was. I just, for whatever reason, I had a look on it, and he didn't. And we weren't playing the lanes all that different either. So
it was like the typical, I'm like 5 left of you. And of course my fill shot strikes, because like why not?
Fill shot doesn't matter. It always strikes.
Exactly.
One time it matters, 9 times out of 10 it doesn't strike.
Yeah, well, when I'm down by 50 and the match already over, of course I strike.
Yeah, right, exactly. But no, so aside from that, I mean, that was just something I thought of just all of a sudden, because now I'm actually bowling in college as well, and I honestly don't think any of our girls here have a urethane ball in their bag. So I know a few of the guys do. Like, I obviously have a purple. I know one of our guys has a purple, and then he also has an older pitch black. I mean, there's obviously a few other ones that I'm forgetting about at the moment, but I would just I would feel bad if I didn't ask that, and then I would assume that it's just something the guys throw more than what the women do.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. Like, you just got to think about the guys have way higher rev rates than we do. So the women that usually throw urethane are like Verity, Daria,
Mhm.
Maria throws it sometimes, not all the time. I'm not really sure how good the Motive urethane ball is.
In college is pretty much the same way. Like the girls with the super high rev rates through them.
Even then, like, not very many girls in college will throw it just because I'm not so sure about the USBC side. I'm sure there are lots of girls that throw it on that side, but the NCAA patterns, I don't think there was ever one that was super short where we needed it. Like, it was always a good medium pattern that we were bowling on. So usually we didn't really need them.
Yeah, and like 9 times out of 10, and again, I don't want to assume this, but I feel like the women are they're so much better at playing the straighter angles and just keeping the angles in front of them and just being able to, I don't want to just say frozen rope it, but you kind of get what I'm, getting by that is 9 times out of 10, they're just better at playing straighter than what the guys are because, well, one, because of the rev rate factor. And that's not a knock, on anybody. That's, I shouldn't even say unfortunately. I think that's just part of the game.
It's
And
just
yeah, but no, I mean, like, that was the one thing I've kind of just always noticed, especially like, so coming from myself, I found trying to play like, for example, trying to play like up first arrow, I kind of found that a little harder for me to do. Especially like before I got to the college stuff, because I never really had to do it before. It was just something I kind of learned on the fly with the guy I work with right now and have been for a few years. I don't know. It just it's an interesting facet of the game that a lot of people probably notice but don't really talk about, or they talk about it and then kind of just shrug it off as it's not really that big of a deal. But I mean, if we're getting into that, there's so much that you could dive into between like the men's and the women's and compare them and contrast them, whatever. So there's obviously a lot of conversation on just that facet alone. Forgot what I was gonna bring up next though.
I have
To
a
be honest, I
point
won't
here.
lie. What's that?
So that if like you're done, I have a point.
Yeah, go ahead, because I already forgot what I was gonna talk about.
Yeah, like at least for the guys, I think playing straight is at least looking at least 5 boards.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then like to go along with that, just like as like for the college scene, is there any great memories? Obviously winning the national championship, like any great stories you can share or like anything like that?
This has nothing to do with bowling, but there was a tournament that we bowled in Pennsylvania, and
Wayne?
I'm working on it. Hold on. Go ahead.
and
Sorry.
so it was the Kutztown tournament. So I don't know how it all started, but maybe we were just not being like a great team together. And so Shannon was like, there's a lip sync show at this tournament and we've signed you guys up already, and you guys have to have like a song and a dance and you're going to perform it in front of everybody. And we were like, what? So we were freaking out because we were like, that's ridiculous. So this entire time Shannon's like, she's just going along with it, and she's like, yeah, you guys, you have to do it. So every day she's like, have you guys done anything yet? And we're like, no. So this was my sophomore year. So we get there and they're like, what are we gonna do? So I'm like, okay, you guys follow my lead, because I was in summer camp and we had a lip sync show back in the day, and I did Party in the USA and I know the entire dance still. So just follow my lead. So we're like in the hallway and we're like, okay, we have to rehearse. Like, we have to have something. We can't just stand there and look stupid. So we're about to do it, and Shannon and Brian come out and they're like, well, we were joking. you guys aren't actually like signed up for it. And we were like, what? So we get there to the lip sync show because it was at the hotel. So we're like, yeah, why not? Let's just go see what's going on. So there were actually quite a few girls there watching it. So I'm like, you know what? Just for shits and giggles, I'm gonna put my name in and I'm gonna perform and I'm gonna do my summer camp lip sync show. So I did it and I got up there and because I was like, why not? So I got up there and I guess everyone was like, come on, Taylor can't do it by herself. So two of my teammates, Sarah and Shlee, they came up and they were like dancing behind me, even though they didn't know the song. So I get done. So now everyone just knows me for Party in the USA from sophomore year. So now every time it comes on, they're like, Taylor. But then Brian got up and he was doing, I can't even tell you what song he was singing to. And the fire alarm starts going off while he's doing it. So we have to evacuate while he's doing it. And we're like, what the heck? So we get back in and then they said Brian was the winner. And I was like, I was salty. I was like, come on. He didn't even get to finish his performance.
That's so funny. Blaine, are you back yet?
I lost it. I just don't have a camera in right now. I don't know what happened. I can't figure it out. So
see if that works.
What's that? What are we doing here?
I should have asked you to start the video.
You did, and I have nothing. So
okay,
you're getting a picture of me now instead of my.
Looks like we're audio only for you the rest of the way.
Yeah, but that's okay. You're not missing much, so it's fine.
All right.
One other thing that I wanted to bring up earlier that it's a little off topic now. But going back, Taylor, to your college days, I would say it's safe to say that Shannon and Brian kind of took you under their wing, so to speak. How would you put that in a sentence for all the viewers that maybe didn't know exactly what your situation was down there?
You care to share?
I don't know if I have a.
It's okay if not. It's something I just thought of earlier, and I wanted to at least ask.
When I first got to McKendree, I'm not gonna lie, I was petrified of them. They were scary. But then, like, I just realized how loving and caring Shannon was, and a lot of people, I think, misunderstand her, and a lot of people, unfortunately, they think she's being fake. But she really cares about the girls. She cared about us a lot, and she basically did whatever it took to be there for us. So my mom was sick through college, and so she kind of just was there for me all the time, and I was never one of those people to always talk about it. Like I never wanted to be the center of attention because of that. Like, oh, my mom is sick, so everyone feel bad for me. I was never that kind of person, and if I was going through something, I never really wanted to talk about it. But she was kind of like an outlet for me. I mean, obviously I had my best friends there and the team, but it was just different with her. So I always loved Shannon and Brian, but I never loved them like I did until I moved in with them, and that was that was crazy. I really wasn't even, they weren't like, Taylor, come live with us, and I wasn't like, hey, can I live with you guys? But during COVID, they kicked everybody off of college campuses, and my dad was terrified of the disease when it first started coming around. So the cases in Chicago and Will County were super high. So my dad was like, I don't want you to come home. I was like, okay, where am I gonna go? So Shannon and Brian, they were like, well, you can stay here. And so they actually let a few other girls, like my friend Brittany, they let her stay there because she was from New York and it was really bad in New York. And they were not even like letting people come in the state or leave the state. And then another girl who lived in Texas, it was the same way. And then there was another girl who lived in California. So basically all the same things, like the cases were just so bad where we were, and we didn't really want to take that risk at the time because there was so much uncertainty. And in St. Louis, the mandates were still a little bit laid back. Like they were one of the last places to, make mask mandates and kind of take it seriously. So we were like, okay, so we stayed there. And after time went on, I started talking about going on tour. And so Shannon was like, well, you can just stay here and then we can just travel together. And I got a job down there at the Air Force Base. So I started working at the bowling alley on Scott Air Force Base. And so I just kind of had my own life there then. And it was never really planned to be that way. And it was not so much also because I truly loved the area. There wasn't anything super special, but it was just, I guess, an opportunity.
Almost too good to pass up kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of. And I thought, like, what better way to go on tour than to live with the previous player of the year. And I get to pick her brain, and I get to ask Brian, the head coach of Team USA, I get to ask them questions all the time about bowling, about what they would do in this situation, because then at that point, the PWBA decided to not have a season. So I had a whole year to prepare for the tour. So just kind of taking that time, Shannon started having me work out with her. I've never worked out a day in my life, just, outside of the 2 workouts that we had a week as a team. But other than that, I was like, I don't know what the gym is. So she had a home gym in her house. So I started working out with her and just really preparing for the tour season. And so I am extremely grateful because I don't know any other tour player as good as her that would just be like, yeah, come live with me and I'll teach you all about tour. Like, I don't know anybody like that.
So I have a question. I'm gonna come back a couple conversations back. So you're kind of in my year, like I'm a senior. So you're in your senior year, kind of preparing. Do how good this team's actually gonna be when you're gonna get there? And kind of just take us down that road about your junior, senior year, how you kind of got trickled down to McKendree, et cetera, et cetera.
So I knew McKendree existed because there was a girl from my area who went there, and then she actually ended up being the coach for a little bit. And Danielle Belabradich is her name. Well, it's something else now. She got married. But anyways, that was her name, and she was the coach before Shannon and Brian got there. And they got there just a year before I did. So my freshman year was their second year. So I wasn't really looking at McKendree as a school. I was looking at St. Francis because they're close to home. And I was looking at, I really can't say I was looking at any NCAA schools. I wanted to do nursing originally. So I was looking at St. Francis because they have a great nursing program. And I was looking at I think Marion University was one of them, and just schools like not huge, widely known schools. I didn't care about that kind of stuff before I went to school because I just wanted to get my degree and I wanted to bowl. So going somewhere that had both of those was just what my goal was. But then I started being recruited by different schools, and that is a great feeling because I have always been very humble about my accomplishments. And so I didn't realize that a lot of schools wanted to recruit me, and I didn't realize that, okay, maybe I'm better than what I think I am. So at this point, I still don't know who McKendree is. Like, I know who they are, and obviously I know Shannon and Brian are the coaches there because it was like the shot heard around the world when they became college coaches. So I was being recruited by Stephen F. Austin in Texas and Nebraska and St. Francis. And those were the only 3 schools that I really took seriously. And even SFA, I didn't visit them because I just knew Texas was way too far away than where I wanted to go at the time. So I'm like, okay, so I'm just planning on Nebraska and St. Francis, just going to narrow it down between the 2. And then I'm bowling the Collegiate Expo before Junior Gold when it was in Chicago.
The turbo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, okay, why not just, put myself out there for these college coaches. I was going into my senior year, and I really wanted to have a commitment and a school established before the high school season because I just didn't want to worry about it. So I'm bowling, and Shannon and Brian were not there yet because I think Shannon was bowling a tournament, but the men's head coach was there, Dennis Knepper. And so he told me, he was like, Shannon and Brian are going to be here tonight. They might be here now, like just wait, and they're going to be here. I'm like, oh, okay. And even then I still wasn't planning on talking to them because there was a girl that I was bowling with and we became friends at the Collegiate Expo, and she wanted to talk to them. I just sat in on her interview and was just listening. And so I'm like, okay, cool. And so we set up a visit after I visited Nebraska and St. Francis. And I felt like I knew where I wanted to go at that point, but I didn't want to leave McKendree out of the equation just yet. So my dad and I went, and I decided that that's where I wanted to go. But as far as knowing that they were good, I literally had no idea.
No, so like you had no idea about Brianna or Lauren Pate or like any of those recruits or?
They had some talent, basically.
Yeah, I did not know who Lauren was until I got there. They were also recruiting Maria Bolanova. I didn't know that. I didn't even know that girls from other countries could come here. I'm like, what? So I didn't know Brianna was gonna go there. I didn't know Brianna was going there until I moved in because we were roommates. I was like, wow, this is cool. It's Brianna Clemmer. But I don't know. I was never one to pay attention to that kind of stuff. Like I have this video, no, not a video, a picture of, I think it was my first year at Junior Gold. It was in Indianapolis, and I was 14 years old. And Shannon was there at the DV8 booth, and I took a picture with her. And I don't pay attention. I literally pay the least amount of attention to things. So I had no idea. I didn't watch bowling on TV. Like, I knew who the guys were. I could tell you Pete Weber. I could tell you who that was. I could tell you all the good guys, but I did not know anything about the women. So I'm like, my dad's like, why don't you take a picture with her? And I'm like, okay, cool. So I took a picture with her, and that was the first time I ever met her. Still didn't pay any attention. I'm like, okay, cool. You're Shannon O'Keefe and you might be good, but I don't know who any of these women are. And yeah, so because like I said, I didn't dream about bowling. I did it because I thought it was fun and I liked it. But
right.
So I want to touch on something that I think maybe people don't look at a whole lot, or at least if they do, dive they don't dive into it. Do you think Shannon and Brian are a little misunderstood in terms of who they truly are? But I think a lot of people, they kind of look at Shannon at least as, like a professional, PWBA bowler, and maybe not. Maybe she does. This is just theoretical, hypothetical speaking. Maybe she doesn't contain like the characteristics to to be a successful college coach, or a role model or a mentor or whatever. Whatever the case may be. Do you think she well, obviously before you really got to know her anyway, is that maybe kind of how you looked at her to a point, at least anyways? I feel like that's kind of how people see her, though. They just see her as the bowler, not as like a coach, or they don't recognize her for who she really is outside of the professional tour.
Yeah, I think obviously a lot of people have seen her bowl on TV, and her TV persona is like, "Grr, I'm gonna kill you," because she's just so intense.
She's a killer on TV, basically.
Yeah. So because she's just competitive, and she loves it, and she's crazy basically, and she knows it. So I think a lot of people, yeah, I think maybe not Brian, because Brian, he's not in much of the spotlight as Shannon is. But Shannon for sure, I think a lot of people they only see her how she is on TV and how she is when she's competing, and how she just takes it so seriously. And I think it's hard for bowling because the spectators are just so much closer to you when you're bowling than, if you're playing a football game or you're playing baseball. The stands are 100 feet away from you. But yeah, I think you could say that. She tells me stories all the time about how people like comment on her fan page about, how she didn't say hi to them, or she didn't smile at them, or whatever the heck it is. And like I said, it's just different when you're bowling. Like who's going to comment that on a professional football player's Facebook page? Nobody. Mm-hmm. Like, oh my God, you didn't sign my son's baseball. You're the worst baseball player, whatever, in the history of time. So yeah, I think a lot of people unfortunately think she's mean, I guess, if that is the word. But it is just how she presents herself as a professional athlete, and I think it's just hard to separate it as a bowler because it's just different.
Well, I feel like at least for Shan, like it's her job. Like obviously when somebody's in their 9 to 5, they're going to be focused on what they're doing. It just happens that she's a professional athlete and that her 9 to 5 is in a bowling alley. Just happens to be fans there, and she just like is that way when she's working. Like at least I don't know about you, but like when I'm bowling, I'm not trying to be super focused. Just
yeah, and I'm kind of the same way. Yeah, I'm in the same boat because so I'll tell the college guys here. So this kind of goes back to like freshman year, because I mean, granted, like we've talked about it on past episodes where I wasn't overly competitive until the end of middle school or middle of high school. Somewhere in that time frame is kind of whenever I took this on as something I really wanted to do. And so I mean, it took a while before my name really kind of got out there, and even like today I don't really feel like I'm anything special. I'm just another guy. But I guess there was a rumor going around, like whenever I committed to come down here to Lincoln College, that like it was like a lot of people were kind of just like, oh, like so and so, like he's done this and he's done that, and he's got this amount of 300 games and blah 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 blah. You know, whatever the talk was. I guess for a while, like that's just kind of how it was. And um, I'm in the same boat as as Taylor is. I mean, I've always just been super humbled about everything that I've done, and the misconception because of where I'm currently, like, I don't want to say stationed, but where I'm working on my game at, he's he opened his doors to not only me, but it was to my dad as well, because whenever my dad's shop closed, that was kind of just where we went, was over to him. And he basically just told us both, he's like, yeah, whatever you guys need to do, you know, just come in and do it, get it done. And you know, and that's just kind of how it's been. So I took him on as my quote unquote coach, basically, because, well, my dad will say that he landed me off to him because he didn't feel like he could take me any further. Um, but basically, ever since him and so Dave Dirth is his name, but ever since me and Dave got hooked up together, we've had one bad day where the first day I worked with him, I just was fed up, and I'm like 16 years old, I'm cocky as hell and whatever. I just didn't want to deal with it. You know, I thought I knew everything, and I just flat ass told him one day, I was like, Dave, I'm not coming back. Like, this is ridiculous. I don't need this. I don't need that. This is stupid. And I went and bowled somewhere like 2 or 3 weeks after that, kind of got a piece of humble pie served to me. And I realized, like, maybe I'm not as good as I think I am. So I walked back in, and this is like at 8:30 on a Saturday night or something. And I asked him, I was like, hey, I know what I said in the past and this and that, or whatever. But like, at the end of the day, I need help. Like, so when can we get to work? And from then on, it's been sunshines and rainbows, basically. But the one thing that people misunderstand is, you know, when I go to ISSTs or college tournaments, whatever, I'll tell the guys, like, if I'm in like my mindset of just, I'm just focused, locked in on whatever it is, I told him, I was like, you can try and talk to me and this and that. And it's like, don't take it the wrong way, but I might not want to talk to you. You know, like, I'm just that focused on what I'm trying to do. It's, I'm not shutting you out by any means, but I'm just so concentrated on trying to just accomplish what I'm after and be the best that I can be, that it comes off in the wrong ways. That, you know, I'm not trying to be cocky, or I'm not trying to be a dick to anybody. I'm simply just focused, and I'm in my competitive nature. So they all kind of had that misconception that, oh, well, you don't want to talk to him, or you don't want to get to know him. He doesn't know, you know, jack squat, basically. He's just here, and he's just gonna blow you off and not talk to you and whatever. But once I kind of established myself, I would say, as like a competitor, then it kind of became full circle that, you know, maybe he's not as bad of a person as we, you know, as what we made him out to be, or whatever. And so I tell people, it's like, what you see whenever I'm on the lanes is totally different compared to what you're going to see whenever we're, you know, just hanging out in like in a dorm room, or we're in the car going somewhere, or, you know, just being me. You know, it's two, I don't want to say it's two different people, but in reality, that's almost what it
It
is.
is.
Because yeah, it's like whenever I'm bowling, like, that's what I'm doing. I'm focused, I'm concentrated. I don't want to waste anything. But like whenever I'm not, it's like I try and be as laid back and as open to anything as I possibly can be, because I mean, that's just who I am. So I don't know. It's just something that, you know, like you mentioned with Shannon, they see her as, you know, that's her 9 to 5, you know, so that's what she knows how to do. That's her job. And granted, I know the collegiate bowling isn't necessarily a quote unquote job, but I almost take it as one, because I mean, I'm getting paid scholarship money to be here. So, I mean, I might as well take advantage of it and be at the top of my game, because if I'm not, you know, you're probably not going to get to bowl come tournament day. It's not the same as just bowling on your own. So I don't know. There's obviously different mindsets to how you want to approach it and go about it, but that's just who I am. That's how I've been able to, you know, get to where I'm at, basically. And I tell other people, is like, if you have a problem with it, I'm sorry, but it's not my problem that you don't like how I carry myself throughout the day of a bowling tournament or whatever. So as long as they can understand, I'm just being competitive and, I want to win just as much as they do, then we'll be fine. Like I told Bobby at the AYBT, like, don't take any, like, whatever I said to you during the game or whatever, don't take it to heart, because it's just my competitive nature coming out. And I respect Bobby, 10 times more than, what other people really realize, and anybody for that matter. So it's like, I'm not saying the things that I'm saying or doing the things that I'm doing to, come off as a bad guy or whatever. It's just my competitive nature, and it's just what I know how to do.
Gamesmanship.
For sure. And we talk about it all the time in my ethics class right now, is what's the difference between sportsmanship, gamesmanship, and cheating? Where does the line fall for whatever it is? And the point I brought up to him was like, it's different in every sport, because football has its thing, baseball has its thing, basketball has its thing. And he's like, well, aren't you leaving one out? And I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, doesn't bowling have its thing too? And I said, well, yeah, but I wasn't really going to dive into that because it's just not as well known. So, and like, unless you know it by heart, or you do it on your own, you don't really know it. It's different whenever you go to tournaments compared to just league or recreation, just doing it for fun. It's two completely different sides of it. But obviously, like, us being on the competitive side, we understand it to that point. And I mean, I would like to think we all know where that line falls of when it's too far. And, so I don't know. That's just me and how I go about it. Obviously, like I said, if people don't really like it, I mean, that's, unfortunately, it's not my problem, and they can take that however they want. But I'm going to do what I got to do to succeed. And at the end of the day, it's either going to work or it's not. Plain and simple.
Yes.
Sorry, I was done. I know you can't see me, but I was done. I'm done ranting.
Yeah,
Alright.
I'm sure there are plenty of times that people are like, oh, that Taylor girl, she's a bitch. But I'm like the nicest person, so.
Yeah.
I'm so
And
glad
I
that
can
you
attest to
don't
that.
go with that.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, so Bobby, I don't know how much you really know or how much I've told you, but like, Taylor and I have kind of been in contact a little bit the last year or so. And I mean, it's not like an everyday, sending a text back and forth or whatever. It's just like a situational thing, or just checking up on one another kind of thing too. But I never really like knew her outside of bowling. Like, I just kind of knew of her. And obviously I know her dad. And her
Yeah, I
dad
feel
and
like
my dad
you
obviously
like
talk
once
all
a
the
week.
time. If you don't know Jeff, then something's not right, because
I think
that
it's my
man
favorite
is
proprietor in Illinois.
yeah.
What?
What's that,
What?
Bobby?
I think it's my favorite proprietor in Illinois. Hands down.
Him and Brian Colbert can definitely go hand in hand, I feel like. If they were to
Yeah.
ever join up and run a tournament together, I don't know who wouldn't come bowl that. I
Or
really
just
don't.
open a bowling center together.
Oh yeah, that for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
It was so, speaking of Jeff, it's funny because we bowled the Lake Michigan Cup at Joliet this past June. And in the middle, I want to say it was in between the morning and the afternoon block when they were re-oiling for like lunch or whatever. They were just playing music over the the speakers, and he comes on over the PA system and he's like, "Hey, just so you know, there is a dance competition going on, and the winner will receive a Lamborghini." And he just left it at that. So they're all doing their thing up on the approach, dancing off. Where he goes, "Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention the Lamborghini. It's a Hot Wheel Lamborghini. Hot Wheels, nothing more, nothing less." And we're like, well, that's just Jeff being Jeff. So it was funny. I mean, he's someone that anytime I'm up in Joliet, I just know I can, just have a conversation with. And my dad is the same way. Anytime he sees him, he's just like, "Hey, Jeff, what's up?" Blah 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 blah. So anytime we see him, it's just nice to talk to him, run into him. Same with Brian up at Mardi Gras all the time. And it's two genuine people that they won't just stop. They'll stop whatever it is they're doing just to have a conversation, no matter what it is it's about. And people like that they're the ones that make me want to come back to their bowling centers, basically.
I agree.
Bobby, I'm done for the record.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
gotta specify. You can't see me. I'm
Well,
sorry.
especially just because like at least on my side, my family owns the center as well. So my dad, like, or my parents, they talking buddy, and usually 2/3 of the time that's where I'm going, just because there's so many events there. And thank you for uh Jeff for hosting and always being accommodating. Um, whenever like either my parents, they're oh Jeff's there, like
Yeah.
it's like I'm sad like when I don't see him because I feel like he's there all the time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like at night in the summers, he ran or Gary ran the like the Wednesday youth tournaments. I'd go there and he wouldn't be like, oh, where's he at?
Yeah. It's different, you know.
It is. It's a
I don't
different
know
vibe.
if Patty ever told you, but she kind of I don't know if she meant to tell me or we were just in the middle of conversation, whatever. But she was like, I'm to the point with Jeff and Brian now, whenever I go to schedule tour days, I don't even have to call them. They'll just shoot me a text and be like, hey, when's our tournament going to be? Okay, cool. I'll make sure that weekend's free. So like, I feel like anytime you can get to that point, you know it's some way somehow you just know that those are the people you want to to keep in touch with, and you always want to go back. And I mean, every time I see Jeff or Brian, I always try and just tell them thank you because there's not many people like that out there anymore, unfortunately.
Agreed. Taylor, do you have anything to add?
Um,
I mean, it is her dad at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think the people were following along, but yeah, that's Taylor's dad.
Yeah.
He would, if he literally would not have to know you, and he would give you the shirt off his back. But I think like one, it's very reassuring. There are people out there that you guys feel that way, but I think it's disappointing that there's only 2 people in Illinois
Well,
that you
there's
feel
only
like.
2 that come to mind, so to say.
Yeah.
Like off the top of my head, those are the 2 that come to my head right as soon as we bring that up.
But I think that those are the kind of people that you need, because we don't know what the future of the sport holds. And obviously we learned through COVID that it can be taken away in an instant.
Mhm.
So just knowing that there are people out there that are willing to do things like that are great. So, I mean, like after every tour stop, I sent thank you cards to the proprietors because they're the ones that make it possible for me to be able to bowl. And sure, the USBC makes it possible and the BPAA, but I mean, really, how are we going to bowl if there's no centers to host us?
Yep.
That's true. Yeah, I think at least like all 3 of us, we can all like kind of get it that it takes a lot to run a tournament that just the boys really think about. At least like my family being in the business, and then obviously your dad being a manager, and Blaine, you seemed like you spent a lot of time on a bowling alley, where it's like it's not just the day of where they at 9 a.m. everything's all ready. At least when there's a tournament in my family center, I think my dad's there at 4 or 5 a.m. Make sure everything's looking good, all the machines are running great. Is to oil, make the coffee, do whatever, just to make sure that it can be a great day.
Yeah, for sure. And another part to that too is not even so much talking just tournaments and in general, but just like the business in itself. And there's so many other details outside of the bowling that some people don't necessarily get or understand or see behind the scenes stuff basically that goes on, that it's I feel like it's underappreciated. Um
100%.
Especially coming from, so we were on the verge over where I'm at Twin City Lanes in Bloomington. We were not sure we were going to get back open after the first shutdown, and then the second one came along, and we kind of had like that same feeling, except it was worse, that like, if this goes on to this certain date or whatever, we might not have a center anymore. And I can remember I subbed one of the last nights that we had league before the second shutdown happened. I remember leaving with like a knot in my stomach because I mean, Twin City has become almost, my second home. So I was like, just knowing that it was a possibility that was going to be the last time I was going to bowl there. And the last time that, I would get to walk through the doors and sit down in the pro shop and just have a conversation with Dave and with my dad and with one of the other guys that comes up there quite often. It was it was something I cherished because I mean, like Taylor said, we don't really know what the future holds. So after the second shutdown, I started just kind of taking everything and really just appreciating for what it's worth, because I mean, at the end of the day, not only on the business side of it, because centers close, it can close any day, but also like on the personal side of it. Yeah, on the personal side of it too, you never know when your last shot's going to be. I mean, an injury can happen just like that, and you're done. So even that side of it too is like something I'm really trying not to take for granted anymore, because I never know when my last tournament's going to be. I never know when the last night I'm going to get the sub in a league is going to be. What's going to be the last ball I drill? Whatever it is. So pretty much anything after all the COVID stuff, I've really taken to heart and just found a way to appreciate it somehow, some way, and just keep moving forward, basically.
Taylor, do you have anything to add or no? No. Well, like the last point I wanted, or not really point, just kind of, yeah, talking point. For the future, Taylor, what have you been doing? Obviously, you're the new assistant coach of Arkansas State.
So congratulations on that, by the way.
Yeah, congrats.
It's a huge thing.
Awesome.
Thank you. Unfortunately, you guys are not female bowlers, so you can't come bowl for me, but I would have you in a heartbeat.
Yeah. If you can get both of us, it's a 2-in-1 deal. You get one. You don't get just one. We come in a combo. It's a package deal. Fortunately, unfortunately, or is that a fortunate thing, Bobby?
Well,
I don't know.
You're on a team, and I will be signing very, very shortly.
Okay, that
verbally committed. I cannot spoil anything.
No,
next
we
week,
have a date set, so we find out when the date comes along.
October 5th.
Sir.
Week from today.
1 week.
Very soon.
Yeah, yes. We're all anxiously waiting.
Most people who are very close, very good idea.
Yeah, like I'm 99% sure I already know, but I have to be a respectable co-host and a respectable friend and not spoil any parties.
No, I'm excited.
Oh yeah, and as you should be. Signing day, committing day, whatever it is, it's special. You only get it once, so enjoy it.
It is special. Yeah, that's true. Like if you transfer, you don't sign another like letter of intent or anything like that. So.
Nope.
So like, sorry, we kind of took that away. As like in the future, what do you have going on? Obviously, college season.
I really don't know. I really thought I had my life together in college. And I'm like, yep, I'm going to go get my master's and I'm going to work in a hospital. And then COVID happened. So couldn't really do a lot. Obviously, the healthcare industry did not stop, but they were
not. Is like a full goal of yours?
It was. So when I was younger, I thought, like I still think, I just have always had this feeling like with my mom being sick and stuff that I was meant to help people. And I still believe that. And, just also like growing up Catholic, just knowing those values, just helping others and caring for others. So I've always believed that's what I was meant to do. So when I was younger, I really wanted to be a nurse for whatever reason. And so I wanted to work in healthcare and I wanted to be part of the healthcare industry and care for patients and help them in that way. But then in college, I ended up not doing nursing, and I ended up doing something else because McKendree, they offered nursing, but I wouldn't have been able to bowl if I did nursing for some reason. I can't remember that reason anymore. Not important. And so I got my degree in health and wellness, which
That's similar to what my sister's doing.
kind of it's weird. It's a weird degree. Like, I could go work for a company and I can make a wellness program for the workers in order to make them healthier, quote unquote, and I could work under like human resources to cut down on costs and sick days, like whatever. Anyways, I wasn't really interested in that, so I want to get my master's in health administration. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I never imagined myself coaching ever. I like maybe coaching high school and going to Joliet and taking over for my dad at Joliet West. But even then I'm like, I don't know if that's what I want to do. So, but then, COVID happened and everything kind of just got put on pause. I couldn't do an internship at the hospital because they were just not allowing people in there. So I didn't really know what it was like. And then I started helping out in McKendree and coaching the JV team. And I was like, okay, this is actually kind of cool. And I was actually going to apply for the head coach position at McKendree University last year. Drury.
Okay.
It's in Missouri somewhere. But that ended up falling through, and I was like, okay, maybe it's just not meant for me. So I'll just get my master's. And so I'm still getting my master's right now, but I was offered this amazing opportunity to be the full-time assistant coach at Arkansas State. So I said, why not? Because I think it's great, and I think it'll make me an even better bowler because I just get to watch ball motion all day and learn about lane play and what I would have the girls do. So full circle, all the way back around. So I said, I believe that I was made to help people. Well, what
That's
better
what
way?
we're doing now.
Yeah. So what better way to help people than be a coach and help people do something that I love and I know so well. And also, I'm not even just helping them with bowling. Like, I believe I can help turn them into amazing young women souls someday. So that's what we're doing.
You basically want to have the Shannon O'Keefe effect on your team, is what she did for you and McKendree University, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think Shannon and I are very similar in that aspect. Is like, we care very greatly for people who are close to us. So I think now just being there with the team, I think that I'll end up forming some type of connection with the girls just from being around them a lot. And I think being able to be a mentor for them and not so much about bowling on tour, because not everybody wants to bowl on tour, but just being a life mentor for them and teaching them everything as much as I know, because it is very hard because I'm only 2 years older than some of them. So I make it seem like I'm so much older than them, but I'm not.
Yeah, I would say there's a point you said in that too, and this is the last thing that I'll touch on. On the coaching side of it, not only on the bowling side, but on the life side, you're seeing things from a different standpoint than what your players are seeing it. And I can attest to this personally. I'm sure Bobby came to a point as well. There's just certain things that my previous coaches or Dave now, he'll bring up, and he won't explain exactly what he's saying basically. He'll kind of just leave it to me to kind of ponder over, and then at some point down the road, it kind of just clicks, and we have that conversation about, this is what it was meant to be, or this is how it is supposed to work, or whatever the case is. I'll sum it up and just say that I think I've learned more about life lessons from sports in general than what I have just being, out in the world, basically. Some of that came from high school, I played football for 2 years. A lot of it comes from bowling. Some of it came from being a basketball manager for 5 years for our high school team from 8th grade until I graduated. And I got to learn underneath probably one of the most well-known coaches in the state. He actually just retired this summer. But long story short, I mean, I feel like I've learned more stuff about like myself and how to just be a genuine, human being from sports rather than just living my life on a day-to-day basis, basically. And I don't know if Bobby kind of has that same conception or not, but I'm sure he will touch on that here shortly.
Yeah, I agree. I played hockey for 5 years, so being part of a team, doing something different, and then going to bowling, just a lot different, but still like some of those principles you can like adopt when bowling for high school, team events, et cetera, et cetera.
For sure.
It's like the light bulb just goes off sometimes, and you're just, whoa, we can just put some things together, and it's a difference between winning and losing, helping your team win and lose, make a cut, whatever it is.
Yep.
So I just think like, even if I'm watching friends bowl, when I'm not bowling myself, you can like see things like they can do it, like excuse me, you can see things that like they're doing, but like they can't feel it, so you can just communicate that to them and just help them.
Well, yeah, and go back to the doubles tournament we bowled together. I mean, how many times did we come back after one of our shots and ask each other like, hey, did you see this or see that, or did what did you see differently that maybe that I didn't feel or didn't see right away? I mean, obviously that's within the sport itself, but I mean, you look outside of that in the life aspect of it, just having, and you don't even necessarily have to have someone like on your hip all the time either. It's just the concept that, I've heard it time and time again, and I'm sure both of you heard it. Someone's always watching. So it's not so much, about just like what you're doing for yourself, but it's also about like what you're doing for yourself as well as what you're doing for other people. And I've always just felt that I've obviously put myself first in certain situations, but 9 times out of 10, I'm putting other people ahead of me because, I mean, that's just how I was raised and kind of just how I learned to be myself, basically. And I can't complain, and I wouldn't have it any other way if I had to go back and change anything from just growing up, through high school or the previous 2 years of school. Yeah, there's nothing that comes to mind outside of like the real world issues and health issues like COVID related, whatever. If you take all that stuff away, there's nothing that comes to mind that I would change about how I've gotten to be where I'm at. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure if I had time to ponder on that and think about it, I mean, I'm sure there's something I would go back and do differently, or say something different in a situation, or whatever the case is. But no, I'm okay with how I was brought up, and obviously there's more lessons to be learned down the road. I mean, you're always learning within the sport, within school, within life, everything. You're always learning something different. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I have on anything for that matter. I mean, I've covered everything that I wanted to bring up throughout the throughout our conversation.
I think I have two.
Cool deal. Taylor, is there anything else you wanted to ask us by chance? I mean, obviously it's an on the spot question, so it's not a big deal if not, but we always want to mention the idea at least.
Mm,
The wheels are turning.
I don't think so.
All righty. Well,
Is there any
Bobby?
any people you want to thank? Anything like that? Your last words?
There are lots of people I like. I like to thank you guys. Thanks for having me.
No
Oh
problem.
yeah, for
Fun.
sure.
There are many people I like to thank. Oh, I guess this could be my official announcement. So I've signed 2 new contracts. I signed one with Genesis, and now I am also going to be joining. I don't know if you guys have heard of McCorvey's Bowling World, or just Bowling World is the name of it.
I am not.
What
So
is it?
what?
What is it?
I guess you could kind of compare it to like Bowler X.
Okay.
So now they're kind of doing the same thing that Bowler X is doing, and they're having like staff members, and I am going to be joining their staff.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so lots of big things. So thanks to them, all my sponsors, really. I couldn't ask for anything better. They're the best.
Alrighty. Well, I think that just about wraps it up. When you is that it? Do you have anything else you just want to add real quick?
I mean, obviously, I mean, my thank yous. I mean, I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for my parents and Dave Durst being the genuine person that he always is, and he's Bobby. I know I gave your mom his card for whenever you're just down in the area or whatever. He's always open to just having people in, working with him for a day or whatever, and so it's cool. He gets to see different parts of the or he gets to see people that I get to see pretty regularly, and we always just have talks. Like, hey, so and so's he's pretty good, and he might do this, he might do that, whatever. So huge thank you goes out to him, and he's put me in the spot that I'm in, and obviously my parents, my college coaches down here. Wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for them bringing me in, and not as much as Taylor's case, but they've kind of taken me under their wing as well, and getting to learn from them and just feel like they're a second family. So that's definitely a cool thing that not very many people get to experience, unfortunately. So definitely grateful for that, and yeah, that's about all I got. And just hopefully the future's bright for me.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to also my parents, mom, dad, for watching. Love you. Bill Spagner, that's who I work with as a coach. Always making sure I'm at the top of my game. Family, friends, school, people, teachers. Thank you for everything. Just like I don't know, everything, I guess.
But putting us in the spot that we're in, we couldn't ask for anything more
Yes.
at the end of the day.
Alrighty.
Well, we'll wrap it up there. Taylor, it was always good to talk to you again. Obviously, like I said, we're in touch a little often more than what some people may think, but we appreciate you coming on. It was awesome having you on as always.
It was fun.
Oh yeah, we'll be in touch for sure. We won't be seeing each other very much down the road, I don't think, being that you're strictly a women's coach, but that's okay. I'm sure in the future our paths will cross, and obviously, Bobby, we see each other almost every weekend as it is. So
what it feels like.
I'm sure I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Couple weeks, yeah. If your team is going to the event at Stardust in January, I'm gonna be there watching. I'll be there spectating you or Taylor for 3 teams that matter. So BPA tournament.
Let's see real quick, just because we're talking about it. The Kegel Classic by chance?
January 15th and 16th at Stardust Bowl.
That would be the one. We're currently listed as probable, so I'm pretty sure it'll happen, but Delta variant's playing its factor, and
Oh boy.
we're just playing things by ear right now. So it
Sure
is what
hope
it
not.
is. Yeah, and I'm sure it will happen, but hey, you never know what the future holds, as Taylor said earlier. So one other shout out real quick, because I'm gonna forget about it if we don't. We didn't mention our hashtag in this video. Hashtag ZenBallGood.
Whoa.
Taylor, unfortunately,
Some of us
doesn't
can't throw
understand
that ball.
Yeah, you're right. She unfortunately was on the wrong staff to understand that one.
Yeah, I live vicariously through Lauren, so.
Oh, okay, there you go. So that works.
He
That
throws
works.
them.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, I had to throw that in there. If we want to go back to the weekend real quick before I forget, I have to give a huge thank you to Kale and Tim at Bowling Insiders on their YouTube channel as well. They vlogged pretty much all weekend from our tournament at the JBST. So for anybody watching, be sure to go check that out. I'm sure you'll see me and Bobby in there at some point. There's numerous shout outs, possibly a false sponsorship in that as well at the end, but you'll have to watch and find out for yourself as far as that goes. That's all I got. Bobby, is there anything else you want to bring up real quick?
That was a fun weekend. I don't care to say how I pulled out the victory, but we're not gonna talk about that.
Doesn't matter. Win's a win, all right?
That's for another day.
3 weekends.
4 and 3 weekends. Yes, sir. 4 straight.
Cheater.
I only threw the purple ball for 2 of those events. So.
Okay, that's fair. But yeah, I mean that pretty much wraps it up for us. Obviously, be sure to go look at the past content we've had. Go check out at Kale and Sam with Bowling Insiders. Definitely for any of the younger women bowlers in the high school world right now, definitely be sure to reach out to Taylor at Arkansas State. I'm sure she'd be happy to have you on as a possible recruitment call or whatever the case may be in the future. She's always going to be looking around for recruits and stuff like that. So be sure to go reach out to her. Any questions, you can obviously reach out to myself and Bobby as far as anything that you want to know. And if you're always looking for help or anything like that, we're always down to do that as well. So
is there an email that they
watching.
can reach you at, Taylor?
What's that?
Is there an email that like they can reach you at for like your like
yeah, they can reach out to our YouTube email. It's
no, I'm talking about Taylor for
oh
her,
sorry. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Taylor.
I do have an A-State email, so that's it's really weird. I don't know how they came up with it, but it's tabailey@astate.edu.
There you go.
Ready, all the females who are looking to bowl in college.
Oh yeah.
Please
and then you can always and they can always reach out to the Lincoln College website as well if they're just looking for something smaller. I can't remember exactly who you go through right now because we're in the middle of we obviously had our coaching change, but there's something on there in the athletic page. It's like a recruitment form or something like that. Fill that out. Get shipped off to our athletic director, and obviously he'll get in touch with our coach from there, and then you can schedule a visit and yada yada yada. The rest is what it is. So
I cannot promote a college yet. However,
we're getting there. All right, patient.
However, next week, no, maybe 2 weeks, depending on when we upload.
Yeah, that's true.
Shortly.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Bobby, go ahead and take us out since no one can see me and what I'm doing.
Guys, thank you. We'll see you in episode 5.
Yep. Have a good one, guys.